let's talk about what I brought with me on the Slovenia Mountain Trail. If you're unfamiliar with the Slovenia Mountain Trail, you can check out some of my other videos where I talk a little bit more in depth with that. But this is my kit, and this is what I brought along with me to do the Slovenska Planiska Pot in Slovenia. It's a 617 kilometer hike, and this is what I brought with me. The backpack, that is a light AF, light as a feather, 40 liter suspension curve backpack. It's a very comfortable backpack, and it is one of the only backpacks that I currently own, so that's why I brought it. So my sleep system, I have my sleep system Nemo Switchback foam pad. I also carry a butt pad, which acts as my hip pad because I'm a side sleeper, so I've doubled down on the pads so I have a little bit more comfort there. My sleeping bag is actually a quilt, and this is the Enlightened Equipment Enigma. It's a 15 degree or -9 Celsius degree bag. It's very light because it's a quilt. It's not a complete sleeping bag sack, so it's more like a sheet. So that's my sleeping bag. I've only really used it a couple times on the SMT because the weather has been exceptionally hot, as you could probably see by the sweat on my forehead. This is my silk liner. This is a 4-claws decathlon silk liner. And I carried this because if you're sleeping in the huts, you need to have your own sheets. Some will provide it with an additional cost, but having this was very beneficial to me on trail. In addition to the huts, because it's so hot outside, wasn't really sleeping in my sleeping bag as much. And so I was using this as a sleeping bag because of the nighttime temperatures being so warm. I started the trail on June 15th, and I expect to finish it early July. So this was my sleeping bag liner. I have a Eros pillow premium. This is a Sea to Summit pillow. Really nice inflatable pillow. I'm not sure the weight of it, but I've had it for a very long time, and it's extremely comfortable for me. So that is my sleep system. Okay, so let's talk about food and cooking. Okay, so I have, this is my cooking gear. It's really simplistic. I have an 1100 milliliter pot and lid. I've had this forever, and that's why I brought it. It's just the Toaks Titanium 1100, and so it's a pot and it's a pan. So sometimes when I get into town, I will cook steaks or eggs or something like that. This allows me to do that. It is a bit larger than what most people would carry, but it's what I have, and I'm happy to carry it because it is very useful for me in that sense. This is an insulating Reflectix pot holder. So basically it allows me to conserve gas, so I can just get the water to bubbling and then put my meal in there and let it incubate and cook itself. My stove is the BRS 3000. This thing is very cheap, cheaply made, but it's very light. It's about 27 grams. This is made out of aluminum, so the most important thing is to not cross the threads, but it's worked well for me for many years, and for the price you just can't beat it. So that is my stove, a BRS 3000. And then I have just a small or a medium-sized gas canister, which is right here, Primus. And then all that stuff goes right into this little bag for organization, so it's kind of a nice little put together kit. For my utensil, I have a Light My Fire titanium spork. I've had this absolutely forever, probably 10 years or so, and it works for me, so that's why I brought it. So that's the cooking system. This is just the food bag, where I put my storage for food bag. Just a Z-Packs, I think it's the large size Dyneema bag. It's really light. Once again, it's what I have, so that's what I brought with me. Toiletries. This is kind of my toiletry bag. You know, I'm not going to go over item by item in here, but I'd say, you know, this is going to be dependent on the individual person and what you bring. I like to take care of my teeth, so I have mouthwash and a ton of other stuff, floss and whatnot. I brought bars of soap so I could clean my clothes. I did lose that bar of soap at some point, so I'll have to buy another one. But that way I could clean my clothes. Most of the huts didn't have showers in Triglav National Park, so the soap was mainly just used for cleaning clothes, which I was very happy to have, because it really makes a difference to have clean clothes or to smell clean. Which leads me into, what did I bring for clothes? Well, I'm wearing the Columbia Omni Shade shirt. It is a button down, it's extremely light. And then my pants are convertible Columbia Omni Shade pants. And they zip off, so I can make them into shorts. As far as additional clothes that I brought with me, I had one extra pair of boxers. These are Fixio. Their motto is you only need one pair, okay, maybe two. It's supposed to kind of wick off stench, so these are really nice. They're not cheap, but they are good. I have then just a extra t-shirt. I think that I've had this almost on all of my thru hikes, and it's a little Jack Wolfskin shirt that says I haven't been everywhere, but it's on my list. And so that was like kind of my sleeping shirt, or if I was doing laundry, that would be my other shirt. I carried two pairs of socks. Why two? Well, they're both falling apart, and so I figured that when one fell apart, I had the other. So this is just, I don't know, Walmart socks, and then these are Right socks, which is kind of a double layered sock, but as you can see, there's only one layer now. Yeah, so two pairs of socks. Okay, so what else? I had a towel. I brought this because I thought I'd be taking a lot of showers in the huts. In reality, there wasn't many showers in many of the huts, especially when you get into the high altitude huts. So this was kind of not really a good thing to bring, but I brought it. Okay, so I also had a 4 Claws rain poncho 500, and this basically goes over your body and your backpack. I did use this a couple days. It is a very wet trail in the Alps, depending on when you hike it. I really don't like this thing, but it's what I have, and so I wasn't going to spend extra money to get something better. I will use everything I have until it's no longer usable. As you can see, my shirt is falling apart, and I've done some mending to it in order to make it last through the end of the thru hike. In the middle of the hike, I had to purchase a jacket because I forgot my jacket. And so I just bought this, I don't know, it was a Caramore, I think. Yeah, Caramore jacket. I bought this in Slovenska. It was €40 with a student discount. I had a puffy, a 4 Claws puffy, but I just left it at my friend's house before I started the hike, so I had to purchase this on the hike. Okay, so footwear. As you may or may not know about me, I am a sandals hiking guy. So I brought my trusty sandals. In retrospect, I don't think it was the greatest choice. I do like hiking in sandals, so it was extremely comfortable for me to hike on the lower altitude sections. But for the what I would classify as via ferrata, but in Slovenia it's just a trail. So any, you're kind of doing climbing, a lot of climbing on this trail. So I brought some New Balance Hero shoes. I don't know the number of what them, maybe it's number 7, but these were a necessity. Even still, with just these hiking shoes, I think I got a lot of looks of like, what are you doing in the mountains wearing these? I even got yelled at by somebody for wearing these shoes and got kicked out of the Alps. They wanted to kick me out of the Alps, but it did not work. So those were my shoes that I wore, and these were essential. I did have a pair of gloves that I brought. These are waterproof gloves, extreme waterproof gloves. I thought this would be useful. I did not use them at all yet, and I'm probably not going to use them by the end of this hike. So I wouldn't recommend that, but that's all based on when you start. Personal, I mean, that could be good for the Via Ferratas. I also brought a buff, which was good. Headlamp, just a Energizer headlamp. I've had that one forever. Specialty gear. Okay, so Via Ferrata kit, helmet, crampons, ice axe. I chose to not bring any of those. Was it the right decision? I think that's really something that you have to figure out for yourself and your comfortability with the trail, or lack thereof the trail. I think that a helmet would be very helpful to have in a lot of situations. As far as the Via Ferrata kit, the way the Slovenian mountains are, is they have a lot of metal assistance on trail, but what you would qualify as a Via Ferrata really isn't what you're hiking on. So there may be a small section of wire, and then nothing for a very long time, and then maybe some hand placement rungs, and then nothing for a long time. So I don't know that a Via Ferrata kit would be super helpful, but I think it is something that could give you some safety reassurance in some places. On Triglav, for sure, you could clip in for a long section of that summit. There is a cable wire leading all the way up it. I ended up renting one at the hut at Korica, hut below Triglav. It was €10. I didn't end up using it because it was very easy, I thought, but that's all relative based on your comfortableness with exposure and elevation. You could also have used the Via Ferrata kit for sure on Prejonic and Razor on the ladder going up towards the last summit. Do I regret not bringing it? Not really. What I do regret not bringing is a helmet. I would think that a helmet is more useful than anything else. When you're doing Triglav, there's a lot of people out there doing it, and people aren't really aware of what they're doing and maybe kicking rocks over the edge. So that I think that a helmet would be warranted for sure. So keep that in mind when you look to do your future hike of the SMT. So I did bring, however, micro spikes. I didn't use them. I did not use these at all. But if I would have brought crampons and I would have brought an ice axe, those could have been useful in several places. I encountered quite a bit of snow around Skuta and Turška Gora, and then I encountered a lot of snow by Prejonic, and also for Jalovic. And I think had I had that gear, I would have been able to summit those mountains, but I had to turn back for safety reasons. So that's something you have to figure out for yourself and what your comfort levels are. At the end of the day, if it wasn't safe, I just turned around, okay? I brought a trekking pole, one trekking pole, and I'm not really a 2 trekking pole guy. There was a lot of this trail that you had to put this away and put it in your backpack because you needed all all of your contact points. You needed your feet, you needed your hands, and you needed to be extremely focused. And so there was a lot of times where you just had to pack this away. But it's good for the ups and the downs, so it's a little bit easier on your knees. I also carried a GoPro, so my electronics. I had a GoPro. I'm recording with my phone that's on a little mini tripod right now. I brought a 20,000 milliamp hour power bank, which I believe is called INU. I've had this pretty much on most of my trails. It is pretty heavy, but it allows me to charge all my gear, so I don't have to spend nights in the huts as much as I need to. I also brought a couple charging cords to charge up those things. Water. Okay, so I carried a 3-liter capacity, so 2 1.5-liter bottles, and a Sawyer squeeze filter. This was so worth to bring the filter. There is lots of sections where there's not a lot of water, especially in the Julian Alps, and you have to source water. And people always say that you can drink all the water in Slovenia, and I 100% agree with that. But when you're on a mountain, almost every mountain that you're going to climb, you're going to see sheep up there. So if sheep are above you, they could be defecating in the water, and you could get diseases. So I filtered the water. I sourced water from glaciers. I sourced water from snowmelt. I sourced water from a lot of places. This isn't really a typical thing to see a European carry as a water filter, because they generally just purchase bottles of water in the huts, which can be exceptionally expensive. There were times where I saw 1.5 liters was 6 to 10 euro, depending on the elevation and how the items were delivered there. So I was very happy to have this. 3 liters, I think, was enough capacity. It is so humid here. I lost a lot of weight. You may be able to tell, or maybe you would have not been able to tell, but I've definitely lost a lot of water weight. So I think 3 liters was enough for me, but yeah, there was many times that I ran out of water. So maybe 4 liters could suffice as well. I mean, it's all based on how much water you drink. So that was my water. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So base weight, I honestly, I don't know. I don't know what the weight would be. I would say 7 to 8 kilo probably is what I would guess. I think you have noticed at this moment that I didn't bring a tent. Yeah, so I chose not to bring a tent. And the reason is, the last time I did a trail, the V Alpine Red Trail, across the entirety of the Alps, and I have a whole video series on that. If you haven't checked it out, you can go ahead and check it up. I'll put the link at the top of the screen. I didn't use that tent too much. I found ways to camp without having a tent. And so I thought it's wasted weight, so I didn't bring it this time. So far on the trail, right now I'm halfway through the trail, so I got off in Trento. I'm taking a rest day, and by the time this video gets released, I will be done with the trail for sure. I think out of all of the days that I've hiked, I've only camped 5 times, 6 times maybe. I think I'm 2 weeks into the hike, so not quite half. There's not a lot of campsites per se. There's not a lot of flat spots. In the national park, it's illegal to camp. I did camp at Cochina de Lichu, and that was because the hut told me that they were full, and I have an Alpine membership card, and they have to make space for you. But when I arrived there, it was actually closed. I slept outside, and there was a massive rainstorm, and it wasn't the most enjoyable night, but it was part of the adventure. So do I regret not bringing a tent? Honestly, no. I don't really have any issues, and I don't think you need a tent. You know, there's huts everywhere, and if you wanted to stay in them, I highly recommend you get the Alpine membership card. It will give you discounts across the board. My good friend Harry assisted me with that and kind of got everything facilitated for me before my arrival here in Slovenia. So I highly recommend it, getting an Alpine membership card. It gets you discounts in all the Alpine clubs, not just only in Slovenia, Italy, all over the world. Okay, so I don't regret not bringing a tent. But yeah, I think the base weight was 7 to 8 kilo, so 14 to 16 pounds, something like that. And now that I'm kind of beyond most of the mountains, I will be dropping a lot of this weight and going even lighter. So I'm going to get rid of all my snow gear. I'm probably not going to be taking the shoes anymore. I'm probably just going to go sandals from here on out. I think that this kit, I generally use this in most trails, and it seems to always work for me. So yeah, this is what I carried on the SMT. I will do a whole bunch of other videos on this trail, overview, food resupply, all that good stuff. So if you haven't had a chance, please do hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this with somebody else you think that may find this useful when they're planning of trying to do the Slovenska Planiska Pot. And like I said, it's an incredible experience, beautiful trail. But it is definitely an alpine trail. It's not like a walking trail. So that's something you have to consider, and that's something we'll talk about in other videos. So if you guys enjoyed this, like I said, hit that subscribe, hit that like button. This is Cav saying keep calm and hike on, guys. Peace.